The first time I stepped into my neighbor's house, I thought I was there to fix a leaking sink. I had no idea I was about to uncover a silent struggle that had been hidden behind forced smiles, tired eyes, and two innocent children who had learned far too early how to keep family secrets. What the twins whispered to me that afternoon changed not only their lives, but mine forever. If you believe kindness can change someone's life, and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories that remind us how powerful compassion can be. My name is Nathan, and I had lived in a quiet neighborhood outside Columbus, Ohio for almost 10 years. It was the kind of place where everyone waved but rarely knew what happened behind closed doors. Across the street lived a young widow named Rachel with her 7-year-old twins, Noah and Grace. Ever since her husband had passed away in a construction accident 3 years earlier, she had worked endless shifts at a local grocery store just to keep the lights on. She never complained, never asked for help, and somehow always managed to smile whenever our paths crossed. One Saturday morning, Rachel knocked on my door looking embarrassed. Her kitchen sink had been leaking for days, and every plumber she called wanted more money than she could afford. Since I enjoyed fixing things and had spent years doing home repairs, I gladly offered to help. She thanked me so many times that I almost felt guilty accepting nothing more than a cup of coffee. The moment I entered her home, I noticed how carefully everything had been maintained, despite obvious financial struggles. The furniture was old but spotless. The walls carried faded family photographs filled with happier days. Toys were neatly arranged in one corner, and every inch of the house reflected love instead of luxury. Rachel apologized repeatedly for the condition of the kitchen, but I assured her the repair would be simple. As I worked beneath the sink replacing a cracked pipe, the twins watched me with wide, curious eyes. They whispered to each other, giggled softly, and disappeared down the hallway. A few minutes later they returned, standing quietly behind me. They looked nervous, as though they were debating whether they should say something that wasn't allowed. Finally, Noah leaned closer and whispered so softly that only I could hear him. He said their bed was broken too. At first I smiled, thinking he was joking. But when I looked at both children, there wasn't even the slightest hint of laughter on their faces. Grace slowly nodded, her eyes filled with quiet hope. They weren't asking for toys or games. They were asking if someone could fix the place where they slept every night. After finishing the sink, I politely asked Rachel if I could quickly check the children's room. She hesitated before agreeing. The moment I opened the door, my heart sank. The wooden bed frame had completely collapsed on one side. Several books had been stacked underneath to keep the mattress from touching the floor. Blankets were folded carefully to hide the damage, but there was no hiding the truth. Those children had been sleeping on a broken bed for months. Rachel quietly admitted she had been saving every extra dollar for rent and groceries. Buying a new bed simply wasn't possible. She hoped to fix it herself someday, but never found the time or money. Tears filled her eyes as she apologized for letting the children mention it to me. She felt ashamed, believing people would judge her for not providing more. I didn't judge her for a second. The following morning, I drove to my garage and gathered every piece of usable lumber, screws, tools, and leftover paint I had. A close friend named Caleb volunteered to help after hearing the story. By noon, we had completely rebuilt the bed frame, reinforced every joint, sanded every edge smooth, and painted it bright white. We even built matching bookshelves from leftover wood because the twins loved reading before bedtime. When we carried everything into the house, Noah and Grace stared with open mouths. They ran their hands across the fresh wood as if they couldn't believe it belonged to them. Rachel covered her face as tears streamed down her cheeks. She kept saying she had nothing to give us in return, but honestly, watching those children smile was worth far more than money. The story didn't stop there. Other neighbors noticed our project and quietly began helping too. One family donated fresh bedding, another brought groceries. Someone else provided new school backpacks. A retired carpenter repaired Rachel's front porch, while another neighbor painted the peeling fence. One small act of kindness had become something much bigger than anyone expected. It reminded our entire neighborhood that sometimes people aren't looking for charity. They're simply hoping someone notices they're struggling. Over the following months, Rachel found a better-paying office job with regular hours, allowing her to spend evenings with Noah and Grace instead of working late shifts. The twins began laughing more often, playing outside, and inviting friends over without feeling embarrassed about their home. Every time I saw that bright bedroom window glowing at night, I remembered the quiet whisper that had started everything. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes in compassion, and subscribe for more emotional stories that remind us how even the smallest act of kindness can change an entire life. Before this story ends, I have one heartfelt request. Please leave a comment with the words, "Kindness still lives," if you believe that caring for one another can make the world a better place. Looking back, I often think I never really fixed a sink that weekend. I fixed a connection between neighbors who had spent years living only a few steps apart without truly seeing one another. Sometimes the greatest repairs aren't made with wrenches or nails. They're made with open hearts, willing hands, and the simple decision to care. And every time I hear children laughing across the street, I'm reminded that one quiet whisper can become the beginning of someone else's brighter tomorrow.